This is the most significant thing that we want to ferret out here and explore a little bit with you, because we think that as we ask these questions that the answers will come easily to you, because where you stand vibrationally and the degree to which you are in the receiving mode will make it easy for you to feel the bigger picture. We want to ask some things in order to help you really bridge where you stand and who you both really are. So this is the most significant question. We have said for quite a long while that no matter what someone is creating, whether it is a relationship or an empire, doesn't matter what the subject is, that the majority of the creation happens before the first board is hammered with the first nail. And today we have been talking about getting out ahead of it, rather than standing where you are and coping, or even bouncing off where you are, or even cleaning up energy about where you are. While that is certainly a wonderful thing, and life comes at you and it is what it is, and what you do next is more up to you, as you have proven, than anyone really understands. But even in those incremental raising of vibrations, there is something that is massively more powerful, and that is getting out ahead of it. To use the former analogy, the reason that your empire is created or your relationship is created before the physical things come into place, the reason that most of it is done before that, is because in that dreaming state there is no reality to tend to. So because of the information that had been given to you, you, without even knowing that you'd done it, left a big gap between now reality, and while you were at 30,000 feet, you got out ahead of it. It was, as you well know, such a wonderful thing that you weren't right up there in the beginning of it, that there was time and space between what everyone was calling the now reality and the reality that you were forming in your mind. You are maybe the best example that we've seen so far of someone who was able, in really astonishingly devastating circumstances, to get out ahead of it. So you got out ahead of it and accomplished so much. So our question to you is, are you still out ahead of it? Because it's easier to be out ahead of it when there's no reality to face, when there's nothing to see, when there's nothing to compensate for. And so from our perspective, that is your work, to stay out ahead of it. So here are some questions. Do you believe that you, meaning anyone, can be or do or have whatever they choose?
Now I do.
Do you believe that there are limitations to that? This is where getting out ahead of it really matters, because everyone can look at now reality, and in facing that reality, identify real limitations and then not be able to get out ahead of it. But in the detachment from what is, there is the ability to get out ahead of it. And in that getting out ahead of it, there is a bliss that you can feel, because there is the absence of the hampering of anything in the moment that you are trying to overcome. So a lot of people would see a recovery like this as a message of triumphing over terrible circumstances or overcoming. But there is a trap in overcoming, because what you are overcoming is in the mix, where when you're out ahead of it in your dream state, there is nothing to overcome. There's just this pure energy that you're identifying and drinking the sweet nectar of, that is establishing paths. In other words, if this universe at large can reach into the quagmire and out of the chaos accomplish clarity, can that not happen in any circumstance?
Yes.
So when you know that, and you know so much, then there's something really fun about that. Now, here's the next important thing. Can you imagine or get on board with the idea of tasting the sweet nectar of getting out ahead of it connection for the singular purpose of tasting the sweet nectar.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
With no mindful determination to change immediate outcomes. If it can be about how delicious it is to get out ahead of it, rather than the ulterior motive of getting out ahead of it so that I can accomplish this, now you're free. Now you're free of all resistance. And of course, that has been your story, your dominant story, right from the beginning in all of this, because that's why it has come along as it has. But this is a story about energy and a story about emotion, and it is a story about cause and effect. But humans are so quick to want to focus on the effect that has been accomplished because of the cause, and we want you to let go of any effect that you're trying to accomplish, any ulterior motive that you're trying to accomplish, and just focus on the sweetness of the tasting of the nectar of alignment, for the simplicity of the sweetness of the tasting of the nectar of alignment. It's a big thing to ask of anybody, but somehow in times of stronger than ever desire, Esther always said to Jerry, I shine in a crisis. And Jerry said to us one day, you know, Abraham, she really does. Why is that so? And we said, because the crisis makes her focus. So anything that causes a focus, especially when you know what you know about releasing resistance, then all things are possible. But there it is again. Made it sound like we're saying, do this and then all things are possible. So there's that ulterior motive again. I'm going to do this so that I can get this. I'm going to do this because it's a sweet nectar to taste. Yes. And then I'll get that. Yes?
Yes. Yes. And it's been kind of interesting. And it's interesting that you, of course, would key into this, because for me, I found that whereas before I had been driven by the wanting and specifically that which lies at the destination.
Nothing wrong with that. It just can't be the main event. That's the most natural thing. Contrast serves you and causes you to put framework around desire. We're not trying to talk you out of your desire. We encourage you to fan the flames of your desire constantly. We just want you to keep your priorities straight. We just want the effect of the alignment not to be the main event. We want the alignment to be the main event, because you have emotional control in that.
That, I think, has been your biggest gift to me and therefore to Skylar, because through this experience, it has been the discovery that while I was distracting myself, being so focused on what I was going for, I kept swatting away the beautiful nectar of the moment, the beauty of the moment when I'm lifting her up and putting her on the chairlift, and the stumble and the laughter, and that moment is so sweet that often when we get to some of the things that I thought that I wanted, they're nice too, but there's all this now that it took this crazy boulder for me to realize all this moments that I've felt were irrelevant in my life because I was so busy trying to figure out how to outsmart the game to get over there.
Well, first of all, everything is for something, and nothing is wasteful, and there is no reason to look back with any kind of regret ever. And it has to be enough because it is, and it is enough. And an acceptance of that is really a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing. And so it's an interesting thing as people hear a story like this, because on the one hand, people come here wanting to talk about energy, wanting to talk about deliberate creation, and so not wanting anything like that in their life. When we talk about there is no death, it makes people afraid that we're getting them ready for somebody that they really care about to get crushed by a boulder. But there's a bigger message in all of this, and that is, you are all eternal beings, and you've come forth for the joy of expansion. And expansion comes in lots of different ways. And there's something palpable in the room that we want to address and soothe just a little bit. And that is because your story has activated within many a fear of expansion. I thought I wanted to expand, but I'd like to amend that. Don't really care that much about motion forward, okay? Because until you've lived it, nobody else can even understand the elation of understanding something. And until you really hook into who you are, you can't even feel the agreements that you've made even before you came into your physical bodies. There are so many people who are born into this time and space with strong intentions to be different enough that new understanding is not possible to be missed. And you all get to choose. You have more creative control than you realize. Once you're here in this physical body, you get to identify who you are and what you want. And so we really encourage you not to try too hard to make your experience fit in with anybody else's, and that you take away from your exposure to experiences like this an understanding that we are all eternal beings, and that out of the life experience that you all are living are expansive rockets of desire that will certainly serve future generations. But it is the generation that is you, it is the here and now, that experiences like this, as they are explained, can serve. Because this is a conversation about the power of non-physical energy to give you what you want when you get into the place of clear desire. And it also brings to a powerful forefront that in the here and now, this is the leading edge. So hear this. This is what we want you to hear above all other things, you and everyone else who is listening in also. If this is the leading edge, and it is, that means that your greatest power is here and now. So it doesn't matter what decisions you made yesterday or the day before, or even early in your life experience, because you've been building on those and launching new and improved, amended rockets of desires. Can you follow that? And if that is so, and it is, then it doesn't matter. It is insignificant. You said it. What pre-birth intentions that you set into motion too, because you get to amend all of those as well. In other words, you get to decide what you now want from where you now stand. And because you are both physical and non-physical energies all converging here and now, when you're able to hook into that energy that creates worlds, truly all things are possible. And so this is a conversation mostly about the blending of you and you toward whatever the two aspects of you are cooking up as you are moving along. Helpful? Helpful?
Absolutely. Yes.
Really good.
Thank you so much.